Each morning is a battlefield, not against others, but against the self. Your first victory is rising with resolve, not comfort, not delay. Resolve. The world wants you reactive, groggy, distracted. But the Stoic rises with intention. He does not beg the day to be easy. He commands himself to be ready. He greets the dawn not with dread but with discipline, cold water, still breath, clear purpose. This is how an emperor begins, not in chaos but in calm. If you want to rule your day, rule yourself first. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? Listen closely, for what I share with you now is not mere advice. It is the foundation of empire, not of lands and armies, but of the self. The most crucial battle you will ever fight begins the moment your eyes open. I have commanded armies, governed nations, and faced barbarians at our borders. Yet the greatest challenge I've ever known, the one that tests me still, is the battle against the weakness within. It begins at dawn, when sleep beckons you to remain, when comfort whispers, just a few minutes more. This is your first test of will, your first opportunity to prove yourself worthy of the day ahead. How you meet this moment defines everything that follows. I tell you this not as a philosopher lounging in luxury, but as a man who has faced this battle countless times. The warm embrace of sheets against the cold morning air, the seductive pull of dreams against the harsh reality of duty. I know this war well, but here is what separates those who merely exist from those who truly live. The decision to rise is made the night before. When you lay your head down, you must already be committed to victory. Your morning self is weak, susceptible to negotiation. This is why you must remove choice from the equation entirely. When the moment comes, rise immediately. Not after counting to 3, not after bargaining with yourself. Immediately. Like a soldier responding to a trumpet call, your body should move before your mind has time to protest. This is not about torture or unnecessary hardship. This is about command, about establishing in the very first moments of consciousness. Who is in control, your higher self or your base desires? Do you think Rome was built by men who could not master their own mornings? Do you think great works, noble deeds, and lasting achievements spring from minds clouded by hesitation and bodies weakened by indulgence? The emperor in his palace and the soldier in his tent face the same fundamental choice: to begin with resolve or to begin with regret. The hour matters not. Whether it's the dead of night or the break of dawn, it's your response to the call that reveals your character. So tonight, as you prepare for rest, make your declaration, not a gentle suggestion to yourself, but a commanding order. At the appointed hour I will rise, without debate, without delay, without weakness. Then, when morning comes, prove yourself a person of your word. Remember, the manner in which you begin sets the tone for all that follows. A day that begins in weakness will be plagued by weakness, but a day that begins in strength, in that first decisive moment of will over comfort, that day holds the potential for greatness. This is how an emperor begins his day. This is how you must begin yours. Not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, but now, today, this moment. Rise with resolve, and you rise ready to rule. The first hour of your day holds power that most will never understand. It is not simply time. It is the forge in which you hammer your intentions into reality. I speak to you now not as someone who theorizes about such matters, but as one who has tested this truth through decades of leadership and contemplation. Consider, in that first hour, your mind is like wet clay, ready to be shaped. What you do in these moments will harden into the foundation of your day. This is why the masses who surrender this sacred time to noise and distraction find themselves perpetually reactive, never truly in command of their existence. When I governed Rome, my earliest hours were not spent reading dispatches or hearing petitions. These were moments of profound silence, of deliberate thought, of preparing the mind for the weight of empire. You too must treat your first hour with such Reverence for everyone governs their own empire, the empire of self. Begin in absolute silence. No voices, no scrolling, no immediate immersion in the chaos of the world. Your ancestors began their days this way, not by choice, but by necessity. They were closer to wisdom than we are now, with all our instruments of immediate distraction. In this silence you first attend to your breath, not as some mystical practice, but as a general surveying his forces. Each breath is a soldier in your army of focus. Each intentional inhale strengthens your command. Each controlled exhale settles your mind into its proper state of authority. Next, you must move with purpose, not frantically, not rushing to accomplish, but deliberately positioning yourself for the day's battles. Stand at your window. Observe the sky. Feel the air. These are not poetic suggestions. They are tactical advantages. While others begin their days lost in screens and artificial lights, you are connecting with the eternal rhythms that have governed human excellence since time immemorial. Write, not messages to others, but commands to yourself. I kept my meditations, not for posterity, but for power, the power that comes from clarifying thought through written word. Your journal is your war council with yourself. Use it. Plan your day not as a slave to time, but as its commander. Choose your primary objective, the one achievement that, even if all else falls to chaos, will mark this day as victorious. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Let it become more real than your doubts. Remember, these first moments are when you are most vulnerable to falling back into old patterns. Your mind, still shaking off sleep, will reach for comfort, for the easy dopamine of checking messages, for the false urgency of immediate response. Resist. These are the actions of a servant, not a ruler. Instead, use this hour to build momentum. Each intentional action, the cold water on your face, the quiet contemplation, the written word, the chosen objective, is a stone in the foundation of an unshakable day. The world will ask much of you. It will demand your energy, your attention, your very essence. But if you have mastered your first hour, if you have shaped it with silence, intention, and command, you will meet these demands not as one who reacts, but as one who has already won the most important battle of the day. This is the power of the first hour. Guard it as you would guard the gates of your city, for in truth, it is far more precious. The greatest battles you will ever face do not take place on distant fields or in marble halls of power. They rage within the confines of your own mind. I tell you this not as a philosopher seeking to impress with clever words, but as a man who has commanded armies while wrestling with his own demons. Before you can hope to conquer external challenges, you must first establish dominion over the chaos within. This is why the morning hours are sacred. They offer a battlefield where the enemy is clear and the stakes are highest. The enemy is not time, nor obligation, nor the countless demands that await. The enemy is the untamed mind itself. Consider how many begin their day. They wake to chaos, immediately flooding their minds with information, opinions, and the ceaseless chatter of the world. They wonder why they feel overwhelmed before they've even begun. They have invited the entire legion to wage war in their minds before establishing their own command. The Stoic warrior knows better. He understands that the mind must be trained before it can be trusted. Like a blade that must be sharpened before battle, your thoughts must be honed before they can cut through the day's challenges. Begin with your fears. Name them. Face them. Not with bravado or false courage, but with the steady gaze of a commander assessing his opponent. What troubles you about the day ahead? What tasks have you been avoiding? What conversations have you been postponing? Bring them into the light of your attention. Then examine your desires. They are often more dangerous than your fears. The desire for approval, for ease, for immediate gratification. These are the true saboteurs of greatness. They whisper to You in your moments of weakness, promising comfort in exchange for your command. Now, focus your mind like a general positioning his forces. Where will you direct your energy? What thoughts will you allow to occupy the precious territory of your attention? What ideas will you guard against? This is not mere mental exercise, it is tactical warfare. I learned this truth not in the study of philosophy, but in the crucible of leadership. When facing barbarian hordes or treacherous senators, my success depended not on physical strength or clever strategy alone, but on the stability of my inner realm. A commander with a cluttered mind makes cluttered decisions. This is why you must establish certain thoughts as your elite guard. These are the principles that protect your mental territory. What is not in my control is not my concern. The obstacle is the way I cannot be harmed by that which does not make me worse. What stands in the way becomes the way. Let these thoughts patrol the boundaries of your mind. When anxiety attempts to breach your defenses, when doubt tries to scale your walls, these principles stand ready. But principles alone are not enough. You must actively train your mind through practice. This is why we begin our days in contemplation. Each moment of focused thought is a drill, preparing you for the real battles to come. Each controlled breath is a soldier in your army of calm. Remember, the outer world is a reflection of your inner state. If your mind is in chaos, you will see chaos everywhere. If your thoughts are disciplined, you will find order even in disorder. This is not mysticism, it is practical reality. Before you step into the arena of your day, before you face a single external challenge, ensure that you have won the battle within. Your thoughts should be like well-trained troops, disciplined, focused, ready to execute your commands without hesitation or doubt. This is how a true leader begins. Not by charging blindly into the fray, but by ensuring that his most important territory, his mind, is secure. Win this battle first, and all other victories become possible. Let us speak plainly about comfort, for it is perhaps the most insidious enemy you face. Not because it is evil, but because it masks itself as friend rather than foe. I have observed this truth both in the governance of empire and in the governance of self. The more you embrace comfort, the more power you surrender. Consider the morning shower, a daily ritual that seems insignificant yet reveals everything about character. The masses choose warm water because it is pleasant. They begin their day by choosing what feels good over what makes them stronger. This is not the way of the Stoic. Turn the water cold. Not because you seek punishment, but because you seek awakening. Cold water is not your enemy. It is your ally in the war against weakness. When that first shock hits your system, when every fiber of your being screams for warmth, this is your opportunity to demonstrate command. But this principle extends far beyond the morning shower. Every moment of comfort rejected is a moment of strength gained. This is why I chose to sleep on hard ground even when soft beds were available, why I rose before dawn even when I could have slept until noon. These were not acts of self-torture. They were declarations of independence from the tyranny of comfort. You must understand, comfort is not neutral. It is either serving you or weakening you. When you choose the comfortable chair over standing, when you choose the elevator over the stairs, when you choose the easy conversation over the difficult one, these are not mere preferences. They are surrenders, small ones perhaps, but they accumulate into a pattern of retreat. This is why the morning hours are so crucial. They offer your first opportunity to choose command over comfort. When your alarm sounds and your bed feels most inviting, you face a fundamental choice. Will you serve comfort or will you serve your highest purpose? The cold shower, the early rise, the quiet meditation when you would rather scroll through distractions. These are not random acts of discipline. They are strategic choices in the battle for self-mastery. Each one strengthens your command center, your ability to choose what serves your growth over what serves your comfort. But hear me clearly. This is not about embracing suffering for its own sake. The goal is not to make life unnecessarily hard. The goal is to build a foundation of strength that makes you impervious to life's inevitable hardships. When you regularly choose the cold over the warm, the hard over the soft, the challenging over the easy, you develop a power that comfort seekers will never know. Think of it this way. Every time you choose discomfort with purpose, you are depositing strength into your personal treasury. When crisis comes, and it will come, you can withdraw from this reservoir of resilience. The person who has never trained in discomfort will find themselves bankrupt in the face of real challenges. This is why I urge you, start your day with a deliberate rejection of comfort. Let the cold water be your teacher. Let the early hour be your training ground. Let the hard choice be your path to power. Your body may resist at first, but your spirit will recognize this as the way to freedom. Remember, the comfortable path is crowded. Everyone seeks ease. Everyone chases pleasure. Everyone runs from discomfort. This is precisely why the path of chosen challenge offers such advantage. While others remain soft, you grow strong. While others seek shelter, you build resilience. This is not theory. This is not philosophy for philosophy's sake. This is practical warfare against the mediocrity that comfort breeds. Choose your discomforts wisely, face them deliberately, and watch as they transform from enemies into allies in your quest for self-mastery. The empire of self is not built on pillows and pleasant temperatures. It is built on chosen challenges and conquered discomforts. Begin today. Begin now. Turn that water cold and prove to yourself who is truly in command. In my time, we faced many enemies of focus. The clamor of the marketplace, the endless petitions of senators, the constant flow of messengers bringing news from distant provinces. But you face a far more formidable foe, that small device that sits by your bedside, promising connection but delivering fragmentation. Let me be absolutely clear. The first thing you reach for in the morning is a declaration of what rules you. When you instinctively grab your phone, you are pledging allegiance to distraction. You are announcing to the universe, and more importantly to yourself, that you are a servant to the urgent rather than a master of the important. I have observed the morning rituals of both great leaders and common citizens. The difference is stark and simple. Leaders control their first touch, while the masses are controlled by it. Think carefully about this. When you reach for your phone first thing in the morning, you are literally holding anxiety in your hands. What awaits you there? Messages that survive the night can surely survive another hour. News that will only cloud your mind with matters beyond your control. Social media that will fill your thoughts with comparison and unconstructive judgment. These are not the weapons of an emperor. They are the chains of a slave. Instead, I urge you to make your first touch something that centers you in your own power. Touch your journal. Touch the floor beneath your feet as you rise. Touch the cold water that will awaken your senses. These are the touches of a person in command of their destiny. Consider this. Every notification, every message, every alert is someone else's agenda for your attention. They are not inherently evil, but they are inherently external. And no great work, no meaningful progress, no true leadership ever sprung from a mind fractured by external demands before it could center itself in its own purpose. You may protest that your work requires immediate attention, that the world cannot wait. I led an empire that spanned continents without the ability to be instantly reached. The truly urgent will find its way to you. What requires your immediate response is often precisely what you should be questioning. Here is your new morning protocol. The phone stays untouched for the first hour of your day. Not in airplane mode, not on silent, untouched, as if it didn't exist. This is not a suggestion. It is a command from one who understands the price of fractured focus. In this phone-free hour, you will discover something remarkable. The world continues to turn. Problems don't multiply because you haven't immediately addressed them. Instead, you gain something invaluable, a mind that begins the day by touching its own depths rather than skimming the surface of others' demands. Use this time to write your thoughts, to plan your day, to strengthen your body, to center your mind. These are the actions of a leader, of someone who understands that output requires input, that clarity requires space, that power requires presence. The dopamine rush of checking your phone will call to you. Your mind, addicted to constant stimulation, will protest this discipline. Good. This resistance is precisely why this practice is so powerful. Every morning you resist is a morning you strengthen your command over your own impulses. Remember, you are not denying yourself information. You are giving yourself foundation. You are not avoiding the world. You are preparing yourself to meet it on your terms. You are not being irresponsible. You are being strategic. This is how an emperor begins his day, not by reacting to 100 messages, but by centering himself in his own purpose. Not by absorbing the world's chaos, but by establishing his own order. Not by touching a screen, but by touching the deeper truths that will guide his actions. Choose your first touch wisely, for it chooses the course of your day. Let it be a touch that strengthens rather than scatters, that centers rather than distracts, that reminds you of your power rather than surrendering it to the endless demands of others. There is a power in silence that few in your time understand. I speak not of the mere absence of noise, but of the presence of something far more profound, the space where wisdom takes root and strength gathers. In my years as emperor, I learned that the quietest moments often preceded the most powerful decisions. Most fear silence. They run from it, fill it with noise, distract themselves from its depths. They do not understand that silence is not empty, it is full of answers. But you must learn to listen with more than your ears. You must listen with your entire being. Begin your morning in complete silence. Not the artificial silence of noise-canceling devices, but true silence, the kind that allows you to hear your own thoughts, your own breath, your own existence. This is not meditation as your modern world understands it. This is preparation for command. In silence, your mind will protest. It will create noise of its own, worries, plans, remembered conversations, imagined scenarios. Let them come. Watch them as a general watches troops assembling on a distant hill. Observe their movements, but do not engage. Your task is not to empty your mind, but to establish your position above its chaos. Write in this silence. Your thoughts, appearing on paper, become like reports from the front lines of your consciousness. But do not write aimlessly. Write with purpose. What must be faced today? What weakness must be strengthened? What truth must be remembered? What action must be taken? This is not journaling for therapy. It is journaling for clarity and command. The silence will deepen as you write. You will begin to hear not just thoughts, but the space between thoughts. This is where true power resides. In these gaps, these moments of pure attention, you will find the seeds of every worthy decision you will make today. But guard this silence fiercely. The world conspires against it. Phones buzz, devices ping, people wake and begin their clamor. You must create a fortress of silence, a space where you can hear the quieter voice of wisdom beneath the shouting of the urgent. Some will call this meditation. Call it what you will. I call it the practice of power. For how can you command others if you cannot first command the noise in your own mind? How can you see clearly through the fog of war if your inner vision is clouded by mental static? In my time, I would often stand in silence before the dawn, feeling the weight of empire on my shoulders. But in that silence, the weight would transform from burden to purpose. This is what silence offers, not escape from responsibility, but clarity about how to bear it. Your morning silence should last until you feel this shift, from scattered to centered, from reactive to ready. For some, this may be 10 minutes. For others, an hour. The duration matters less than the depth. Remember, silence is not a pause from life. It is preparation for life. It is not a retreat from power. It is the source of power. Every great decision I made as emperor was born in these moments of deliberate silence, where the mind could rise above the clamor of immediate concerns to see the broader strategy. This is why we begin in silence. Not because it is peaceful, though it can be. Not because it is easy, it rarely is. We begin in silence because it is only in these quiet moments that we can hear the truth of who we are and what we must do. Let others begin their day in noise and hurry. You will begin yours in silence and strength. Let them rush to add their voice to the world's chaos. You will speak only after you have listened to the deeper wisdom that silence reveals. This is the way of the Stoic emperor, not to fear silence, but to use it as a tool of power, not to fill every moment with sound and fury, but to create space for clarity and command. Begin here, in silence, and you begin with strength. Listen carefully, for what I share now is not mere advice about planning. It is the architecture of empire building, scaled to the empire of your own life. I have commanded armies and governed nations, and I tell you this: no great achievement has ever been the result of drift. You must understand this fundamental truth. Each day is a campaign. Each morning is a war council. You are not waiting to see what the day brings. You are deciding what you will bring to the day. This is the difference between the masses and the masters, between those who serve time and those who command it. First, you must establish your primary objective. Not objectives, objective. The mind that chases many rabbits catches none. What is the one achievement that, if accomplished, would make this day a victory? Name it, write it, speak it aloud. This is not a wish or a hope. It is a command to yourself. But choosing an objective is not enough. You must map the terrain of your day like a general planning a campaign. What resources do you have at your disposal? Where are the likely points of resistance? What allies must you rally? What enemies must you neutralize? This is not metaphor. This is strategy. Your time is your territory. Guard it as you would guard the borders of your empire. Every meeting, every commitment, every activity must justify its claim on your hours. Be ruthless in this assessment. Time given to lesser purposes is ground surrendered to the enemy of mediocrity. Create specific battlegrounds for specific achievements. The early hours for strategic thinking, the mid-morning for decisive action, the afternoon for consolidating gains. This is not rigid scheduling. It is tactical deployment of your most precious resource, focused energy. But hear me well. This is not about controlling every minute. Even the most disciplined legion must have room to maneuver. Build space for unexpected opportunities, for necessary retreat, for strategic adaptation. The best plans are firm in intention, but flexible in execution. Write your plan in your journal, but not as a mere list of tasks. Write it as a declaration of intent. Today I will complete specific objective because it serves larger purpose. I will face anticipated challenge with specific strategy. I will remember that core principle guides my actions. This is not positive thinking. It is positive commanding. Consider the virtue you will emphasize today. As emperor, I knew that each day called for a different strength. Sometimes justice, sometimes mercy, sometimes courage, sometimes restraint. Choose your virtue as carefully as you choose your battles. Let it be your standard, visible in every action you take. Remember, you are not planning a day. You are designing a campaign for growth, for achievement, for the expression of your highest purpose. Each morning's plan should reflect this greater strategy. Be specific in your intentions, but do not become rigid in your expectations. The day will present obstacles you did not foresee. This is not failure of planning. It is opportunity for adaptation. The mark of a true strategist is not perfect prediction, but perfect presence in responding to what emerges. Your plan should include not just what you will do, but what you will not do. What distractions will you refuse? What temptations will you reject? What battles will you choose not to fight? These decisions are as important as your chosen objectives. End your planning with a moment of commitment, not a mere mental note, but a warrior's pledge to yourself. Speak it in the silence of your morning. This is my day. These are my objectives. This is my command. Let others drift through their days, reacting to whatever comes. You will move with purpose, with direction, with the quiet confidence of one who knows exactly what must be done and why it must be done. This is how an emperor begins. Not by hoping for a good day, but by designing one. Not by waiting for opportunity, but by creating it. Not by serving time, but by commanding it. Now, take up your pen, open your journal, begin your war council with yourself. The day awaits your orders. There is a profound difference between speaking to yourself and declaring who you are. I have commanded legions and governed an empire, but the most powerful commands I ever issued were not to armies or senators. They were to myself. This morning, ritual of self-declaration is not about empty motivation. It is about establishing your identity with the firmness of imperial decree. Understand this. Every morning, you stand at a crossroads between who you have been and who you are becoming. This moment of declaration is where you choose your direction, not with wishes or hopes, but with the authority of one who knows their true nature. Speak to yourself not as you are, but as you must be. When I faced the challenges of empire, I did not whisper to myself as Marcus the Uncertain, but declared, my intentions as Marcus the Emperor, Marcus the Philosopher, Marcus the Leader of Men. Your declarations must carry the same weight, but hear me clearly. This is not about arrogance or false pride. The Stoic speaks with certainty, not because he believes himself superior, but because he understands his duty. Your morning declarations are not boasts about what you deserve. They are commitments about what you must become. Stand before your mirror. Look into your own eyes. Speak these words not with the hesitation of one asking permission, but with the clarity of one stating truth. I am becoming stronger with every challenge I face. I choose wisdom over comfort, growth over ease. I serve my highest purpose, not my immediate pleasures. I am equal to this day's demands. These are not affirmations as your modern world understands them. These are orders from your highest self to your present self. They are reminders of the truth that circumstances may obscure but cannot change. Your voice must carry the authority of natural law. When you declare, I am disciplined, it should hold the same certainty as stating that water is wet or fire burns. This is not about convincing yourself. It is about remembering what is already true. But with this power comes responsibility. Do not declare what you do not intend to embody. Each morning declaration is a debt you owe to yourself, to be paid in actions throughout the day. Speak only what you are willing to prove through your conduct. The words you choose matter. Eliminate weak language from your morning declarations. Instead of, I'll try to be strong, declare, I am strength. Instead of, I hope to accomplish, state, I will achieve. Instead of, I want to become, proclaim, I am becoming. This is the language of command, not of supplication. When doubt arises, and it will arise, let your declarations become even, more firm. The more uncertain the path ahead, the more certain must be your sense of self. This is not denial of reality. It is the creation of a foundation strong enough to face reality. Remember, you are not trying to convince yourself of anything. You are reminding yourself of everything. Every quality you declare is already within you, waiting to be summoned, waiting to be commanded into action. Make these declarations in the silence of your morning routine before the world's noise can intrude on your clarity. Let them be the first words you speak, setting the tone for every word that will follow. Your identity is not fixed in the past or determined by circumstances. It is declared anew each morning through these moments of self-command. When you speak to yourself with the authority of an emperor, You prepare yourself to meet the day's challenges not as one who hopes to survive them, but as one who is ready to master them. This is how you begin to bridge the gap between who you are and who you must become. Not through gentle suggestion or timid hope, but through powerful declaration backed by unwavering intent. Speak now with all the authority of your highest self. Let your words carry the weight of command. Let your voice ring with the certainty of natural law. This is not practice for leadership. This is leadership itself, beginning with the one person you must first learn to command, yourself. The fool hopes for an easy day. The wise man prepares for a challenging one. I speak to you not from the comfortable remove of philosophy, but from the experience of one who faced daily the weight of empire. Every morning I prepared not for what I wished would happen, but for what I knew must be faced. This is the practice of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. But understand, this is not negative thinking. This is strategic foresight. This is the general reviewing his battle plans, anticipating not just where he hopes to triumph, but where he may be tested most severely. Begin your morning by asking yourself these questions. What could go wrong today? What weaknesses might be exposed? What resistance might I encounter? What temptations might arise? Do not ask these questions with fear, but with the calm calculation of a strategist. Each potential obstacle is not a threat. It is an opportunity to prepare, to strengthen, to prove your resolve. When I ruled Rome, I would imagine the worst news I might receive. Rebellion in the provinces, betrayal in the Senate, natural disasters striking our cities. Not because I was pessimistic, but because I knew that the unprepared ruler is no ruler at all. You must do the same with your day. Imagine the client who might cancel, the technology that might fail, the deadline that might tighten, the criticism that might come. See these things not as misfortunes, but as examinations. They are testing your preparation, your character, your command of yourself, but mere imagination is not enough. For each obstacle you envision, prepare a specific response. If this meeting becomes confrontational, I will remain calm and focused on solutions. If my main project falls through, I will immediately pivot to my contingency plan. If temptation arises to waste time, I will remember my core purpose. This is not anxiety, it is armor. Write these scenarios in your journal. Be detailed, be specific. The more clearly you can see the obstacle in your mind, the more clearly you can see your way through it. This is not an exercise in worry. It is an exercise in preparation. Remember, the obstacle is the way. Each challenge you anticipate is not just a potential problem, it is a potential victory. By facing it first in your mind, you rob it of its power to surprise or destabilize you. But do not stop at merely anticipating difficulties. Imagine yourself moving through them with grace, with strength, with unshakable resolve. See yourself not as the victim of circumstances, but as their master. This visualization is not fantasy. It is rehearsal for reality. Consider also the internal obstacles, the doubts that may arise, the fatigue that may set in, the distractions that may tempt you from your path. These are often more dangerous than external challenges, for they attack not your circumstances, but your resolve. Prepare specific phrases like weapons in your arsenal to combat these internal foes. This fatigue is temporary. My purpose is permanent. This doubt is not wisdom. It is weakness asking for permission. This distraction offers nothing compared to what my focus can achieve. Keep these phrases ready, like a soldier keeps his sword sharp. In my years of rule, I learned that the most dangerous moments were not those where we faced known enemies, but those where we were caught unprepared. The same is true in your daily battles. The obstacle you have anticipated loses half its power to disturb you. Let others be surprised by the day's challenges. Let them be thrown off course by every unexpected turn. You will move through difficulties, like a warrior who has already fought this battle in his mind, who knows every move before it comes. who has conquered fear through preparation. This is how an emperor faces his day, not with blind optimism, but with clear-eyed readiness, not hoping for the best, but prepared for whatever comes, not avoiding thoughts of difficulty, but using them to build strength. Begin now. What challenges await you today? Name them. Face them in your mind. Prepare your responses, then move forward not with anxiety, but with the calm confidence of one who has already seen the battle and knows they are ready. The morning is your sanctuary, and like any sacred space, it must be guarded with vigilance. I speak not merely of physical disturbances, though these must certainly be managed, but of the more subtle invasions that can poison the well of your mind before the day has truly begun. In my time as emperor, I learned that the greatest threats to peace were not always the barbarians at the gates, but the internal turmoil caused by rumors, opinions, and the constant clamor of others' judgments. Your modern world has multiplied these threats 1,000-fold, with its endless streams of information and opinion flooding into your consciousness from the moment you wake. You must establish a morning quarantine of the mind. In these first crucial hours, you are not available to the world's chaos. This is not selfishness. It is strategy. A general whose mind is clouded by 1,000 voices cannot give clear commands. An emperor whose thoughts are polluted by every passing opinion cannot make wise decisions. Guard especially against these modern invaders of peace, the news that seeks to fill you with urgency about matters beyond your control, the social media, that tempts you to compare your journey to others, the emails that demand your energy before you've claimed it for yourself, the messages that want to set your agenda before you've set it yourself. These are not mere distractions. They are hostile forces seeking to colonize your consciousness. Establish clear boundaries, not just in your mind, but in your physical space. Your morning sanctuary requires a space free from others' voices, a time that belongs only to you, a mind focused only on what serves your highest purpose. This is why I advocate for rising before the world demands your attention. In these quiet hours, you can build a fortress of peace that will withstand the day's assault. But what of those who live with others, those whose circumstances do not permit perfect solitude? I say to you what I said to myself in the busiest days of empire. Peace is not the absence of disturbance. It is the presence of order within yourself. Even in a crowded house, even in the midst of duty, you can create an inner sanctuary. This requires clear communication with those around you about your need for morning space, a firm but gentle maintenance of your boundaries, an unshakable commitment to your inner quiet. Remember, your peace is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the foundation upon which all else is built. A day that begins in chaos tends to multiply that chaos. A day that begins in peace tends to maintain that peace, even in the face of challenges. When others bring their urgency to your morning, respond not with anger, but with calm certainty. This time is sacred. I will attend to that shortly. When your own mind tries to rush ahead into the day's concerns, gentle but firmly bring it back. Now is the time for clarity, not for reaction. Train yourself to recognize peace stealers in all their forms. The urgent but unimportant, the dramatic but irrelevant, the compelling but unproductive, the interesting but unnecessary. Each of these must be met with the same response. Not now. This is my time for foundation building. Your morning peace must be active, not passive. It is not about avoiding life, but about preparing properly to engage with it. Like a warrior who inspects his armor before battle, you are ensuring that your mental and emotional defenses are strong before you engage with the day's challenges. In my years of rule, I learned that the quality of my decisions was directly proportional to the quality of my morning peace. When I allowed others' urgencies to disturb my dawn hours, my leadership suffered. When I maintained my sanctuary of calm, I could face any crisis with clarity. This is your imperial decree to yourself. The morning hours are inviolable. They are not negotiable. They are not available for invasion by the world's chaos. They are your time to build the strength that will allow you to serve others better throughout the day. Let others begin their day in reaction to the world. You will begin yours in deliberate creation of peace. Let them surrender their morning calm to every urgent demand. You will maintain your sanctuary, knowing that this is not selfishness, but preparation for true service. This is how an emperor greets the dawn, not by immediately engaging with the empire's chaos, but by first establishing an unshakable center of calm from which all worthy action can emerge. The body is not separate from the will. It is the primary battlefield where will is tested and strengthened. I speak not as one who glorifies the body above the mind, but as one who understands that physical discipline is inseparable from mental command. In my years leading armies and governing an empire, I learned that the morning training of the body was not mere exercise. It was education in leadership itself. Understand this. Your physical training is not about vanity or even primarily about health. It is about developing an unshakable will through the medium of flesh and bone. When you push against resistance, when you maintain form despite fatigue, when you continue past the point of comfort, these are not merely physical achievements. They are victories of command over chaos. Begin your morning movement with purpose. This is not about following the latest training trends or mimicking others' routines. This is about engaging in deliberate physical challenge that serves your development as a leader. Choose movements that test your resolve, demand your full presence, challenge your limitations, require precision and control. The specific exercises matter less than the spirit in which you perform them. A simple set of push-ups, done with complete focus and unwavering form, can teach more about discipline than an elaborate workout performed with a wandering mind. Remember, you are not training muscles, you are training command. Each repetition is a small battle between your higher purpose and your baser instincts. Each set is an opportunity to prove who is truly in charge of your actions. When fatigue sets in, and it must set in for this training to serve its purpose, you face the essential question: who commands this body? The temporary discomfort that wishes to quit, or the immortal will that pushes forward? This is not about brutality or unnecessary suffering. It is about establishing, through physical effort, who truly governs your actions. In my time, I trained with the legions, not because an emperor needed to be the strongest fighter, but because I understood that physical challenge reveals and develops character. The same holds true for you. Your morning training is a daily referendum on your capacity for command. Face this training with the mindset of a warrior philosopher. Each movement is a declaration of will. Each breath is a lesson in control. Each moment of discomfort is an opportunity for growth. Each completion is a victory of spirit over matter, but hear me clearly. This is not about punishing the body or glorifying pain. It is about establishing a clear relationship between your will and your physical form. The body should be neither master nor slave, but a willing ally in your pursuit of excellence. Structure your morning movement with strategic purpose. Begin with movements that awaken and align. Progress to exercises that challenge and strengthen. Conclude with practices that center and prepare throughout. Maintain complete presence. A distracted warrior is a defeated warrior, regardless of his physical strength. Your phone should be nowhere near your training space. Your mind should be focused entirely on the dialogue between will and body. When resistance arises, when your body signals its desire to stop, when comfort calls you to ease up, this is the moment of truth. This is where you prove whether you are governed by temporary feelings or eternal principles. Choose well, for each choice builds a pattern that will manifest in every area of your life. Learn to welcome this resistance. The muscle that burns, the lungs that heave, the mind that wants to quit. These are not your enemies. They are your teachers. They reveal exactly where you need to develop greater command. But remember, the goal is not exhaustion. The goal is education in excellence. Your morning training should leave you not depleted, but energized, not beaten down, but built up. You are preparing for a day of leadership, not recovering from a battle of ego. This is how an emperor trains, not for show, not for praise, but for the development of unshakable command. Each morning movement is a lesson in leadership, each physical challenge an opportunity to prove who truly governs your actions. Begin now. Stand up. Step into your training space. Let each movement be a declaration. This body serves a higher purpose. This will commence with clarity. This day begins with victory over the first and most fundamental challenge, the challenge of self-command through physical discipline. The way you see determines what you do. I speak not merely of physical vision, but of the deeper sight that guides all worthy action. In my years as emperor, I learned that the most crucial skill of leadership was not making decisions, but seeing. Clearly what deserved decision in the first place. Your modern world assaults your vision from the moment you wake. Screens flicker with urgent messages. Images compete for attention. Information floods your consciousness before you've even fully opened your eyes. This is not progress. It is warfare against clear sight. The morning hours must be dedicated to training your vision, not by filling your eyes with more images, but by teaching them to see what truly matters. Begin by looking at what is eternal rather than what is urgent. The sky that has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the sun that has lit every human triumph and tragedy, the natural world that continues its cycles regardless of human drama. This is not poetic indulgence. It is strategic preparation. Stand at your window or step outside. Look up at the vastness above you. This perspective is not about feeling small. It is about understanding scale. The problems that loom so large in your mind shrink to their proper size when viewed against the eternal. But do not stop at physical vision. Train your inner sight as well. Before you look at any screen, before you read any message, look inward with unflinching honesty. What truly requires your attention today? What are you avoiding seeing? Where is your vision clouded by fear or desire? What eternal principles must guide your sight? Your morning journal is not just for writing, it is for seeing. Write to discover what you really think, what you really value, what really demands your focus. The act of writing forces clarity of vision. Most people begin their day by immediately focusing on what others want them to see: emails, news, social media. This is the equivalent of letting others determine the direction of your gaze. An emperor does not surrender his vision to the whims of others. Train yourself to see through several lenses. The immediate. What is directly before you that requires attention? The strategic. What patterns are emerging that will shape the future? The eternal. What principles remain true regardless of circumstance? The internal. What within yourself needs acknowledgement and adjustment? This multi-layered vision is not natural. It must be developed through daily practice. When you look at your goals and plans for the day, see not just the tasks, but their deeper significance. A meeting is not just a meeting. It is an opportunity to influence, to learn, to strengthen relationships. A challenge is not just a problem. It is a chance to demonstrate character. Most crucially, train your eyes to see past the superficial, beyond the urgent to the important, beyond the dramatic to the meaningful, beyond the popular to the true beyond, the comfortable to the necessary. This training of vision requires silence and space. You cannot develop clear sight in the midst of constant visual noise. This is why the morning hours are sacred. They offer the quiet needed to adjust your focus. Remember, what you choose to see first thing in the morning will influence what you notice throughout the day. If you begin by staring at problems, you will see problems everywhere. If you begin by observing beauty, strength, and opportunity, these too will multiply in your vision. But this is not about positive thinking or avoiding reality. It is about seeing reality more completely, more strategically, more wisely. The emperor must see both the threat and the opportunity, both the obstacle and the way through it. Modern culture trains your eyes to dart from stimulus to stimulus, never resting long enough to see deeply into anything. Resist this training. Develop the steady gaze of one who knows that true power lies not in consuming more images, but in seeing more clearly. Practice this morning ritual of sight. First, see the eternal, sky, nature, unchanging principles. Then see the internal, your thoughts, motives, character. Finally, see the essential, what truly requires your attention today. Let others begin their day by filling their vision with whatever flashes brightest. You will begin yours by training your eyes to see what endures, what matters, what truly deserves the attention of one who seeks to lead with wisdom. This is how an emperor learns to see, not by looking at everything, but by training his vision. To focus on what truly matters, begin each day by adjusting your sight, and all else will come into clearer focus. Your first meal is a declaration of who you serve. I speak not in metaphor, but in the most practical terms. In my years, commanding armies and governing an empire, I observe that how a person approaches their first meal reveals everything about their relationship with power and purpose. Understand this fundamental truth. Food is not entertainment. It is not comfort. It is not escape. Your morning meal is fuel for conquest, nothing more, nothing less. How you approach this first act of nourishment sets the tone for how you will approach every other resource in your day. A slave to appetite begins their day by asking, "What do I crave?" A warrior begins by asking, "What will serve my purpose?" This is not about denial or harsh restriction. It is about command. Every bite you take is either serving your mission or undermining it. There is no neutral ground in this territory. Consider your morning meal as a general considers his supply lines. What resources will provide sustainable energy? What choices will sharpen rather than dull your mind? What combinations will strengthen rather than weaken your resolve? Modern culture has corrupted this wisdom, turning breakfast into an opportunity for indulgence. Sugary cereals, pastries, processed conveniences, these are not the foods of warriors. They are the chains of those who have surrendered their power to momentary pleasure. Your first meal should be simple enough to require minimal decision-making, substantial enough to fuel serious action, strategic enough to serve your body's true, needs stable enough to be repeatable daily. This is not about following the latest dietary trends. It is about establishing a reliable foundation for performance. When you eat your first meal, eat with complete presence. No screens, no distractions, no multitasking. A warrior does not divide his attention during crucial operations. Eating is not a background activity. It is a deliberate act of self-maintenance. Time your first meal strategically. The common wisdom of breakfast is the most important meal of the day is not universal law. Some warriors perform better, having conquered hunger through the morning hours. Others need early fuel for early battles. Know yourself, but once you decide, be consistent. Your choices should be guided by principles, not preferences. Choose foods that serve clarity over comfort. Select portions that energize rather than sedate. Opt for preparation methods that respect both efficiency and effectiveness. Maintain consistency rather than chasing variety for variety's sake. Remember, every meal is a battle between immediate gratification and lasting power. Choose well, for these choices accumulate into destiny. Prepare for this battle the night before. A warrior does not wake up wondering what resources are available. Have your provisions ready. Remove the need for decision-making when your mind should be focused on larger matters. If you eat with others, maintain your standards. Do not let social pressure weaken your resolve. Your eating habits are not up for democratic vote. They are executive orders from your highest self to your present self. But hear me clearly. This is not about obsession or rigidity. It is about establishing a reliable foundation for power. A warrior can feast when appropriate, can enjoy foods, pleasures in the proper context. But the morning meal is not that context. It is preparation for battle, not celebration of victory. Learn to find satisfaction in purpose rather than pleasure, the clean energy of proper fuel. The clear mind that comes from strategic choices, the quiet pride of maintained standards, the growing strength of consistent practice. Your relationship with food reveals your relationship with power. Those who cannot command their first meal of the day will struggle to command anything else. This is not judgment. It is observation, born of centuries of human experience. Watch how people approach their morning meal, and you will see their approach to life. Those who let cravings drive their choices. Those who eat without awareness. Those who prioritize convenience over capability. Those who let others determine their standards. Then watch the warriors, those who eat with purpose, with presence, with power. Notice the difference not just in their choices, but in their results. This is how an emperor approaches nourishment, not as an opportunity for pleasure, but as a foundation for power, not as a slave to taste, but as a master of purpose. Begin your day by proving that you command your appetites rather than letting them command you. Choose now. Will your first meal serve your highest purpose, or will it merely serve your immediate desires? This choice, made consistently, shapes not just your health, but your character. Memento mori, remember death, not as a morbid obsession, but as the most powerful wake-up call life can offer. I speak to you not as one who merely philosophizes about mortality, but as one who faced death daily in the governance of empire, in the command of armies, in the endless decisions that determine the fate of thousands. Each morning as you rise, remember this truth: you may not see another sunset. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to ignite you. The awareness of death is the greatest stimulus to purposeful living. Consider, how would you begin this day if you knew with certainty it was your last? Not with panic or desperate pleasure-seeking, but with the calm intensity of one who understands that each moment is both precious and passing. This morning remembrance of death serves several crucial purposes. It burns away the trivial concerns that often cloud our minds. It focuses our attention on what truly matters. It eliminates the luxury of postponement. It demands that we live fully present in each moment. Most people avoid thoughts of death, thinking this avoidance serves life. They could not be more wrong. It is precisely in facing our mortality that we learn to truly live. When you wake, perform this brief but powerful meditation. Acknowledge that this day is a gift, not a guarantee. Remember those who did not wake to see this morning. Consider what must be said, done, or created before your time ends. Commit to living this day as if it were both your first and your last. This is not abstract philosophy. It is practical wisdom for immediate application. The awareness of death clarifies everything. Which meetings really matter? Which conversations can't wait? Which actions must be taken now? Which words must be spoken today? Let others begin their day with the illusion of endless time. You will begin yours with the crystal clarity that comes from acknowledging life's finite nature. But remember, this is not about creating anxiety or rushed action. Quite the opposite. The awareness of death, properly understood, creates a profound calm. When you fully accept the temporary nature of everything, you can paradoxically engage more fully with each moment. Your morning routine should include specific practices that remind you of life's brevity. Read the names of those who have passed. Before you touch something that represents the eternal, write a brief reflection on what must not be left undone. Speak aloud your commitment to living fully today. These are not morbid rituals. They are ceremonies of awakening. Watch how this awareness transforms ordinary moments. A simple breakfast becomes a ceremony of gratitude. A routine commute becomes an opportunity for presence. A regular meeting becomes a chance to create lasting impact. A common conversation becomes an exchange of eternal significance. This morning, practice of remembering death serves to eliminate procrastination, focus priorities, deepen relationships, strengthen purpose, clarify decisions, but perhaps most importantly, it serves to awaken you to the miracle of being alive right now, in this moment with work to do and the ability to do it. Consider, every book you will ever read was written by someone now dead. Every building you admire was designed by someone who has passed. Every wisdom you cherish was earned by those who no longer walk among us. Their time came and went. Yours is now. This is why we begin each day with memento mori, not to dwell in darkness, but to be awakened by death's light. Not to become paralyzed by life's brevity, but to be energized by its precious nature. Let others drift through their days half alive, postponing their purpose, delaying their impact, assuming tomorrow is guaranteed. You will live with the fierce urgency of now, with the focused intensity of one who knows that each moment could be the last. This is how an emperor greets the dawn, not with the lazy assumption of endless tomorrows, but with the warrior's awareness that each day is a battle against time itself. Not with fear of death, but with a commitment to life so strong that death becomes not an enemy, but a teacher. Begin now. Touch your own pulse. Feel the miracle of your heart still beating. Now ask yourself, what must be done with this gift of another day? What can no longer wait? What must be said, created, attempted, resolved? This is your moment. It may be your last. Live accordingly. The greatest secret of power is this: it flows to those who serve. I speak not from theory, but from the experience of governing an empire that spanned continents. True influence begins not with taking, but with giving. Your morning must reflect this truth. Before you ask what the day can give you, ask what you can give to the day. This is not mere altruism, it is strategic wisdom. The universe operates on principles of reciprocity, and those who understand this hold the key to lasting influence. Begin your morning by asking these questions. Who can I serve today? What value can I create? What strength can I offer? What wisdom can I share? This is not about sacrificing your interests. It is about understanding that your interests are best served when you focus first on service to others. In my years as emperor, I learned that the most powerful person in any room is not the one demanding attention, but the one offering value. This principle begins in the morning hours, long before you meet anyone else. Your morning preparation should include identifying specific opportunities to serve, preparing your mind for generosity rather than acquisition, strengthening yourself, so that you have more to offer, planning concrete actions that will benefit others. But understand, this is not about empty gestures or performative kindness. This is about substantial service that creates real value. Consider your unique gifts. What knowledge do you possess that could illuminate others' paths? What skills do you have that could ease others' burdens? What perspective can you offer that might broaden others' vision? What strength can you lend to those who need support? These are not theoretical questions. They require specific answers and concrete plans. Your morning journal should include not just your own goals, but your intended contributions. Who specifically will you help today? What exactly will you offer? How precisely will you serve? When definitively will you take action? This planning of service is as important as planning your own achievements. Remember, leadership is service. Influence is service. Power, properly understood, is service. Begin your day by embodying this truth, and watch how doors open before you without force. Most begin their day by asking, what can I get? What can I achieve? What can I acquire? What can I control? This is the path to struggle and resistance. Instead, ask, what can I give? What can I create? What can I share? What can I improve? This is the path to authentic power. But hear me clearly. This focus on service must begin with self-maintenance. You cannot serve from an empty vessel. Your morning routine of physical training, mental clarity, and spiritual centering is not selfish. It is preparation for service. Think of yourself as a well that others will draw from. Your morning exercise. Build strength to support others. Your meditation creates clarity to guide others. Your study develops wisdom to share with others. Your planning creates value to offer others. This is why we rise early, why we train hard, why we prepare thoroughly, not us for ourselves alone, but for those we will serve. In practical terms, your morning service preparation should include reading that builds knowledge you can share, reflection that develops wisdom you can offer, planning that creates opportunities you can provide, strengthening that builds capability you can lend. Let others begin their day thinking only of themselves. You will begin yours by preparing to serve. Let them focus only on what they can take. You will focus first on what you can give. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. This is not sacrifice. It is strategy. This is not loss. It is investment in the most reliable form of power. Watch how this morning focus on service transforms your entire day. Opportunities multiply, relationships deepen, influence grows, impact expands. This is how an emperor truly leads, not by demanding service, but by offering it, not by seeking power, but by creating value, not by taking from the day, but by giving to it first. Begin now. Before you ask for anything from this day, decide what you will give to it. Before you seek any advantage, determine what advantage you can offer others. This is the path not just to influence, but to lasting legacy. The morning is not just for looking forward, it is for looking back with clear eyes and steady purpose. I speak from the experience of one who had to review not just personal actions, but the governance of an empire. Each morning review is not a trial of self-condemnation, but a strategic analysis for future victory. Most people avoid reviewing their previous day, either from fear of facing their failures or from eagerness to rush into new actions. Both approaches weaken us. The warrior philosopher must learn to look back without shame and forward without anxiety. Begin your morning review with these questions. What victories were achieved? What lessons were offered? What patterns emerged? What adjustments are needed? This is not about judgment. It is about growth through honest observation. In my years as emperor, I learned that the most dangerous review is one clouded by emotion. Too much pride in success breeds complacency. Too much shame in failure breeds paralysis. The morning review must be conducted with the cool clarity of a general assessing a battlefield after combat. Structure your review systematically. Actions taken. What did you actually do? Decisions made. How did you choose? Reactions given. How did you respond? Results achieved. What actually happened? Document these without emotional coloring. Facts first, lessons second, adjustments third. But remember, the purpose of this review is not to dwell in the past, but to strengthen the future. Every observation should lead to actionable insight. Every lesson should translate into specific adjustment. Most crucially, learn to extract wisdom from both success and failure. Success. What elements should be replicated? Failure. What adjustments should be made? Patterns. What habits are emerging? Opportunities. What possibilities were revealed? The morning review should focus particularly on decisions that proved worthy or unworthy, reactions that served or hindered time that was well used or wasted, principles that were honored or compromised. This is not self-flagellation, it is self-education. Use this day's your journal to document not just what happened, but what it taught you. Yesterday's impatience in the meeting revealed my need for better preparation. The calm response to crisis proved the value of morning meditation. The missed opportunity showed where my systems need strengthening. These are not confessions, they are battle plans for future victory. When you encounter failures or mistakes, treat them as a general would treat intelligence reports from the field. They are not sources of shame, but sources of crucial information. Each failure properly analyzed becomes a foundation for future success. Your morning review should include specific categories. Physical: how did you maintain your instrument? Mental: how did you use your mind? Emotional: how did you manage your responses? Strategic: how did you advance your purpose but maintain perspective? Not every failure is catastrophic. Not every success is definitive. The wise ruler learns to see patterns rather than isolated events. Watch particularly for recurring challenges that need systematic solutions, consistent strengths that can be further developed, blind spots that require additional attention, opportunities that were previously invisible. This morning review serves multiple purposes. It prevents repetition of errors. It reinforces successful strategies. It reveals hidden patterns. It maintains strategic awareness. Remember, the goal is not perfection, but progress. Each morning review should leave you not with a burden of guilt, but with a clear path forward, not with regret about yesterday, but with insight for today. This is how an emperor reviews his actions, not to punish himself for imperfection, but to strengthen his command through honest observation, not to dwell in the past, but to build a stronger future on the foundation of lessons learned. Begin your review now. Look back at yesterday not as a judge, but as a student, not as a critic, but as a strategist. Extract the wisdom, identify the adjustments, and then move forward with the calm confidence of one who learns from everything, both victory and defeat. There is a profound difference between routine and ritual. Routine is mechanical. Ritual is meaningful. Routine is a series of actions. Ritual is a sequence of purpose. I speak to you not as one who merely theorized about such matters, but as one who understood that the governance of empire begins with the governance of self through meaningful ceremony. Most people have morning routines, automated sequences of actions performed with minimal presence. This is not enough for one who seeks to lead, to influence, to create lasting impact. You must transform your morning from routine to ritual, from habit to ceremony. Understand this crucial distinction. A routine is something you do. A ritual is something you embody. A routine can be interrupted. A ritual is inviolable. A routine is external. A ritual is internal. This transformation begins with intention. Every element of your morning must carry meaning beyond its immediate function. The cold shower is not just for waking up. It is a ceremony of will over comfort. The journal writing is not just for planning. It is a ceremony of thought into action. The exercise is not just for health. It is a ceremony of command over flesh. The meditation is not just for calm. It is a ceremony of mind over chaos. Each action must be invested with purpose beyond its surface value. Consider how an emperor approaches his morning preparations compared to a common citizen. The citizen dresses quickly, thinking only of covering the body. The emperor dons his garments with awareness of what each piece represents. The citizen eats hastily, thinking only of satiation. The emperor takes sustenance with awareness of the strength it will provide. The citizen moves unconsciously through space. The emperor steps with awareness of his presence and purpose. This is not about adding time. It is about adding meaning. Your morning ritual should have clear sections, each with its own significance. The awakening, from sleep to consciousness with purpose. The strengthening, from weakness to power with intention. The centering, from scattered to focused with clarity. The preparing, from potential to readiness. With strategy, each section should float naturally into the next, creating a seamless ceremony of self-command. But remember, a ritual is not rigid. It is alive, responsive, yet maintaining its essential character. Like a river that may rise or fall, but always flows toward its destination, your morning ritual should be adaptable while preserving its core purpose. Create specific markers for each phase of your ritual. Physical objects that carry meaning. words that invoke purpose, gestures that embody intention, spaces that support ceremony. These are not mere props. They are anchors of meaning. Your journal should document not just what you do, but what each action represents. This breath is my connection to eternal strength. This movement is my declaration of command. This moment of silence is my preparation for leadership. Time becomes different within ritual. Minutes are not just measured, they are invested with purpose. The first moment of consciousness becomes a declaration of intent. The first step becomes a commitment to direction. The first breath becomes a drawing in of power. The first thought becomes a setting of purpose. Watch how this transformation from routine to ritual changes everything. Actions become more deliberate. Purpose becomes more clear. Focus becomes more sharp. Impact becomes more profound. Most importantly, ritual creates a bridge between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Common actions become sacred through intention. Daily choices become meaningful through purpose. Regular moments become powerful through awareness. Simple movements become significant through ceremony. This is how an emperor begins his day, not with the mechanical actions of routine, but with the meaningful ceremonies of ritual. Not just going through motions, but embodying purpose in every gesture. Let others rush through their mornings, slaves to routine. You will move through yours with the deliberate power of ritual. Let them simply do. You will meaningfully begin. Now, take each element of your morning and invest it with purpose beyond its function. Transform each action from what you do into what you embody. This is not about adding complexity. It is about adding significance. Your morning ritual is not just preparation for the day. It is a declaration of who you are and what you stand for. Make it worthy of one who seeks to lead, to influence, to create lasting impact. The moment you step beyond your threshold is a moment of truth. It reveals whether your morning preparation was mere ceremony or true fortification. I speak to you not as one who simply studied leadership, but as one who had to embody it daily, stepping out to face the demands of empire with both strength and strategy. Your departure from home is not just a transition in space. It is a declaration of readiness for battle, not with swords and shields, but with purpose and presence. How you exit your door reveals everything about how you will meet the day's challenges. Consider the difference between these departures. The masses rush out, already scattered in thought and purpose. The warrior leaves with measured steps and gathered power. The reactive dash into whatever awaits them. The strategic move with clear intention toward chosen objectives. This final act of your morning ritual must reflect complete preparation, mind-centered and clear, purpose-defined and strong energy gathered and focused. Strategy set and certain. Before you touch that door handle, perform this final assessment. Is your mind truly ready for command? Is your purpose clearly set? Is your strategy fully formed? Is your presence fully gathered? This is not paranoia. It is preparation. Your departure should carry the dignity of command, posture that reflects inner strength, movement that shows controlled power, expression that conveys quiet authority, presence that commands respect without demanding. Remember, how you leave your space predicts how you will occupy all other spaces. Throughout the day, create a specific departure ritual, a final moment of centered breath, a clear statement of purpose, a gathering of presence, a commitment to command. This is your final transformation from private preparation to public power. Consider what you carry with you, not just physical tools, but mental strength, not just daily plans, but strategic vision, not just professional resources, but personal power, not just scheduled meetings, but purposeful intentions. Each item, each thought, each intention should be chosen with strategic purpose. Your departure is a threshold moment that sets the tone for everything that follows, from preparation to performance, from centering to action. from ritual to reality, from potential to manifestation. Make this transition with full awareness. Watch your final moments before departure. No rushing, no scattering, no last-minute chaos, no undermining of your morning work. The empire of your day awaits your command. Remember, you are not leaving to see what the day brings. You are leaving to bring your purpose to the day. You are not going out to face challenges. You are going out to meet opportunities for demonstrating strength. Your final checklist is not just physical, but spiritual. Mind clear and focused, purpose strong and certain, energy gathered and ready. Presence full and powerful. Step out like a general, taking the field, confident but not arrogant, powerful but not aggressive, focused but not rigid, prepared but not inflexible. This is how an emperor meets the world, not by rushing into it, but by stepping into it with measured authority. Not by reacting to its demands, but by bringing direction to its possibilities. Let others stumble into their day, already scattered and reactive. You will step into yours with the calm power of one who has prepared fully and leads purposefully. The doctor before you is not just an exit, it is a threshold of transformation. When you step through it, you step through not just as a person beginning their day, but as a leader taking command of their campaign. Move now toward that threshold. Feel the gathered power of your morning preparation. Know the clarity of your purpose. Command the strength of your presence. Step forward not as one who serves the day, but as one who will lead it. This is your moment of emergence. Make it worthy of one who seeks not just to exist in the world, but to impact it with purpose and power. If you've followed the path laid out in these chapters, you are ready. If you've done the inner work, you are prepared. Now go forth and demonstrate what true leadership looks like in action. The world awaits your command.